Very good evening. Some breaking news in the last few minutes. Police in Manchester say the 25-year-old man arrested over the stabbings at Manchester Victoria Station on New Year's Eve has been detained under the Mental Health Act after being assessed by police medical staff. Earlier, the police launched a terror investigation with 3 people last night, one of them a police officer. The victim's injuries are said to be life-threatening. The Prime Minister said her thoughts were with them and praised the response of the emergency services. Our correspondent Danny Savage has the details.
A railway station in central Manchester just before 9 o'clock. Police restrained a man on the ground who moments earlier had been wielding a knife, attacking passers-by. A BBC journalist was on the platform at the time and saw what happened.
It's New Year's Eve, people have had a drink, they've probably, it's just a fight, it'll fizzle out in the next few seconds. But then I just heard the guy shout, as part of a sentence he shouted, Allah. And then I thought, that doesn't sound good. But at the point I was just edging towards the tracks, he was pepper sprayed, he was tasered. They just kind of swarmed on him, brought him down.
3 people were stabbed. One of them was a policeman, the other 2 were a couple, a man and a woman in their 50s. All the injuries were serious, but not life-threatening. A short time later, the man was taken away from Manchester Victoria Station by police, shouting "God is greatest" in Arabic. The Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police says it is being treated as a terrorist-related incident.
We are treating this as a terrorist investigation, which is being led by counter-terrorism officers with support from Greater Manchester Police. We're working throughout the night to piece together the details of what happened and to identify the man who was arrested.
At the same time, they announced they were searching a property in the Cheetham Hill area of the city, but guard. The city's mayor is trying to reassure people.
Manchester is strong, it's united. We will not allow anybody to divide us. We will continue to work with colleagues in the government and other public services over the coming days. But as I say, people should not be unduly alarmed. We would ask people to remain vigilant. But we believe this has all the hallmarks. It appears to be an isolated incident.
The injured policeman is now at home, but the couple attacked here last night are likely to be in hospital for some time.
Yeah, just to reiterate that Danny's package was put together a few hours ago, before we got the details from Greater Manchester Police. So just to update you, that 25-year-old arrested last night has been detained under the Mental Health Act. The police also saying that their counter-terrorism investigation is ongoing. There's nothing, they say, at this moment to suggest involvement of other people in the attack, but that remains a main priority for the investigation. And that address that Danny told you about in Cheetham Hill and the search of that address, that continues. So a 25-year-old arrested and detained under the Mental Health Act. And we'll find out how that story and many others are covered in tomorrow's front pages at 11:30 this evening, slightly later than normal in the papers. Our guest joining me tonight, Nigel Nelson, who's the political editor of both the Sunday Mirror and the Sunday People, and the political commentator. Now, the NASA spacecraft that has flown past the most distant world ever studied in our solar system Jair Bolsonaro is sworn in as Brazil's new president. Rescue teams in Russia pull a month-old baby from the rubble of a block of flats destroyed by an explosion. And victory for Andy Murray in Australia, but he's not sure how much longer he can play top-class tennis. Hello, good evening. Police have launched a terror investigation after the stabbing of 3 people last night at Manchester's Victoria railway station. One of them, a police officer. A 25-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and has tonight been detained under the mental health. Well, the victim's injuries are said to be serious but not life-threatening. She said her thoughts were with them and she praised the response of the emergency services. Our correspondent Danny Savage is in Manchester for us tonight. Danny.
And this time last night, the area behind me here was sealed off after 3 people were stabbed by a man. This morning, police said they were treating this as a terror-related incident, but within the last hour, they issued an update saying the 25-year-old suspect has been assessed by specialist medical staff and detained under the Mental Health Act. However, they say the counter-terrorism investigation does continue. They also add that there's nothing to suggest the involvement of other people in this attack, but of course confirming that is a priority. A railway station in central Manchester just before 9 o'clock last night. Police restrained a man on the ground who moments earlier had been wielding a knife, attacking passers-by. A BBC journalist was on the platform at the time and saw what happened.
New Year's Eve, people have had a drink. They've probably it's just a light little fizzle out in the next few seconds. But then I heard the guy shout as part of the sentence. He shouted "Allah," and then I thought, that doesn't sound good. But at the point I was just edging towards the tracks, jump onto the tracks. He was peppered, he was tasered. They just kind of swarmed on him, brought him down.
3 people were stabbed. One of them was a policeman. The other 2 were a couple, a man and a woman in their 50s. All the injuries were serious, but not life-threatening. A short time later, the man was taken away from Manchester Victoria Station by police, shouting "God is greatest" in Arabic.
We are treating this as a terrorist investigation, which is being led by counter-terrorism officers with support from Greater Manchester Police. We're working throughout the night to piece together the details of what happened and to identify the man who was arrested.
At the same time, they announced they were searching a property in the Cheetham Hill area of the city, where police now stand guard. The city's mayor is trying to reassure people.
It's strong, it's united. We will not allow anybody to divide us. We will continue to work closely with colleagues in the government and other public services over the coming days. But as I say, people should not be unduly alarmed. We would ask people to remain vigilant. But we believe this has all the hallmarks and appears to be an isolated incident.
The injured policeman is now at home, but the couple attacked here last night are likely to be in hospital for some time. Police also say the location of the attack may be a factor as well. Manchester Victoria Station is adjacent to the arena where the bomb attack happened back in 2017 when 22 people were killed by a suicide bomber. And I think the police's suspicion is that that may be too much of a coincidence that something similar, potentially, has happened close by. That is part of their inquiry too. Ben.
Okay, Danny, thank you very much indeed. Danny Savage reporting. A NASA spacecraft has flown past the most distant world ever studied in our in Manchester say the 25-year-old man arrested over the stabbings at Manchester Victoria Station on New Year's Eve has been detained under the Mental Health Act after being assessed by medical staff. Earlier, police launched a terror investigation after the stabbing of 3 people last night, one of them a police officer. The victims' injuries are said to be serious but not life-threatening. The Prime Minister said her thoughts were with them and praised the response of the emergency services. Our correspondent Danny Savage is in Manchester.
This time last night, the area behind me here was sealed off after 3 people were stabbed by a man. This morning, police said they were treating this as a terror-related incident, but within the last hour, they issued an update saying the 25-year-old suspect has been assessed by specialist medical staff and detained under the Mental Health Act. However, they say the counter-terrorism investigation does continue. They also add that there's nothing to suggest the involvement of other people in this attack, but of course confirming that is a priority. A railway station in central Manchester just before 9 o'clock last night. Police restrained a man on the ground who moments earlier had been wielding a knife, attacking passers-by. The BBC journalist was on the platform at the time and saw what happened.
New Year's Eve, people have had a drink. Then probably it's just a fight that'll fizzle out in the next few seconds. But then I just heard this guy shout. For a second, he shouted Allah, and then I thought, that doesn't sound good. But at the point I was just edging towards the tracks, he was pepper sprayed, he was tasered. Kind of swarmed on him, brought him down.
3 people were stabbed. One of them was a policeman, the other 2 were a couple, a man and a woman in their 50s. All the injuries were serious, but not life-threatening. A short time later, the man was taken away from Manchester Victoria Station by police, shouting "God is greatest" in Arabic.
We are treating this as a terrorist investigation, which is being led by terrorism officers with support from Greater Manchester Police. We're working through the night to piece together the details of what happened and to identify the man who was arrested.
At the same time, they announced they were searching a property in the Cheetham Hill area of the city, where police now stand guard. The city's mayor to reassure people.
Manchester is strong, it's united. We will not allow anybody to divide us. We will continue to work closely with colleagues in the government and services over the coming days. But as I say, people should not be unduly alarmed. We would ask people to remain vigilant. But we believe this has all the hallmarks and appears to be an isolated incident.
The injured policeman is now at home, but the couple attacked here last night are likely to be in hospital for some time. Police also say the location of the attack may be a factor as well. Manchester Victoria Station is adjacent to the arena where the bomb attack happened back in 2017 when 22 people were killed by a suicide bomber. And I think the police's suspicion is that that may be too much of a coincidence, that something similar, potentially, has happened close by. That is part of their inquiry too.
Thanks, Harry, from Manchester. And that's the spacecraft has flown past the most distant world ever studied in our solar system, some 4 billion miles away. There were celebrations for Hello, this is BBC News with me, Christian Fraser. We'll be taking a look at tomorrow morning papers in a moment. First, the headlines. A man arrested after 3 people were struck at Manchester's Victoria Station on New Year's Eve has been detained under the Mental Health Act. Signals from the NASA space probe New Horizons confirm it has successfully flown past the icy mass Ultima Thule, the most distant object ever explored in our solar system. Far-right politician Jair Bolsonaro has been sworn in as Brazil's new president. He used his inaugural speech to promise to free his country from socialism and what he calls political correctness. Rescue workers in Russia pulled an 11-month-old baby boy alive from the rubble of flats hit by an explosion. Doctors say he is in a serious condition. Hello and welcome to our look ahead to what the papers will be bringing us tomorrow. With me tonight are the political commentator Joe Phillips and Nigel Nelson, who is the political editor of both the Sunday Mirror and Daily People. Welcome to you both. Many of tomorrow's front pages are already in, so let's take a look, starting with The Telegraph. They say that the Transport Secretary is introducing a new teenage rail card, especially for 16 and 17-year-olds. The Mail goes with a report on sugar intake, claiming that children consume 22 stones of it by the age of 10, fueling the obesity crisis. The Metro hails the bravery of police officers at Manchester Victoria Station after an officer was among 3 people injured in that knife attack there last night. The Guardian says private landlords are ripping off local councils by charging large amounts for temporary accommodation, taking advantage of the growing number of homeless people. The Times has an investigation which claims that young women sent abroad for forced marriages have been charged by the Foreign Office for the cost of rescuing them. Millions of missed GP appointments is costing the NHS more than £200 million. That's the top story in the Express. And the Daily Star claims a Coronation Street star had his close encounter with a UFO, but they kept it quiet for fear of being ridiculed. Right, well, let's start then, Joe, with the Daily Telegraph. The headline says half-price rail cards for 16 and 17-year-olds, but if you dig into the depths of this story, the real announcement is that our average